Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of this IHSDM and Open Roads kind of tandem tutorial. If you remember, in the last section, we started off making our mainline alignment and we entered the basic data for lanes, shoulders, inside and outside median barrier, and also a non-traversable median. To finish off this section, I want to go over auxiliary lanes, lanes that are not just straight through lanes like we identified in the last section. And then I also wanted to very quickly, create the other three alignments for the two ramps as well as the crossroad. So if we go back into our open roads file and we look, so it looks to be a 3-lane highway on the right side. I would say up until, so I'm not including this yet, I'm just looking solely at through lanes. So, all right, here's our first indicator arrow. It appears to be a 3-lane highway up until station, uh, I'd say probably 267 or so. I would say that's approximately where we end that third lane. So now if we go into our highway editor again, I'm going to add in a third through lane that ends at, I think I said 267. I'm going to add in a third through lane with priority of 30. Yeah, okay, I did say 267. So that appears to be good. That's also going to be a through lane. I would say, well, no, that might be too much for this lesson. So I'll leave it as that for now. So back into open roads here. If we look at this map, or if we look at the schematic, it looks like there's also a fourth lane, a very small auxiliary acceleration lane that lasts from, it looks to be station 240 to 243-ish. There appears to be a fourth lane, maybe 244. There appears to be an auxiliary lane, which is an acceleration lane from this on-ramp. So we're going to add that in as well. That's going to have a priority of 40. Did I say, I said 243. And when we set the lane type, I'm just going to say it's an acceleration lane. So IHSDM does not analyze these, but it will show up visually. So if I started off with a width of 12 and an end width of 0, it's going to show as I'm setting it as acceleration, but it's going to show as a taper lane. So it's going to show it as a taper. I guess maybe I can bump it down to 245 for the end station. So I'm going to go ahead and add that lane in, and we're going to just update it and then see what it looks like now in the viewer. So if we zoom into this area, we can see our third through lane showed up, and you can also see the endpoint of the through lane. So here's your 267 plus 00. This is where that through lane ends. If you wanted to, you could set this into a taper so it shows up a little visually better. If you wanted to set a lane at 265 plus 00 to 267 with priority 30, which has a starting width of 12 and goes down to 0. It'll show up better visually, but again, this is good enough for the purpose of what we're doing. So there's our third through lane. Here is our taper lane where we can see this is where we're going to have that ramp connect. And then we have a tapered lane that goes down to 0 feet at 245 plus 00, so up there somewhere. So there's our lane. Now if we go back and edit the highway again, it is going to show it as a tapered lane. Okay, so now it wants me to update the shoulder sections to account for what we just did on the right side here. So if you recall, we added a third through lane and then added this taper lane. So if you look at our lane data, The taper starts at 240. So now if we go back into our shoulder, I'm going to end this one at 240 plus 00. Still right, and it's got a priority now of 40 because we added an additional through lane. And I'm also going to add in so here's the new shoulder section for that taper. So we have a small section just for the taper, which corresponds to this. Now we're going to have two more sections of right hand shoulder. We're going to have one from the end of the taper to the end of the 3-lane section, and then we're going to have one for the remaining part of the 2-lane section. So I'm going to just add those in here quick. So we've got one from 245 plus 00, 267. Again, it's going to have a priority of 40 because it's in a 3-lane section. And then we're going to have one from 267 all the way to the end. It's going to have a 30 priority because it's a 2-lane section of the freeway. So now all of our shoulder information is updated. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. Taper element defined without corresponding primary lane. Not entirely sure what that warning is implying. I'm just going to set it as an acceleration lane. We won't show the taper, but all right. So now we got rid of that. If we view it again, now we're going to see here's our taper, but now we're just showing it as ending as a full 12 foot, but it's considered an acceleration lane, so it doesn't matter. But now all of our priorities for the outside shoulder are going to be correct, so we just update this. The priority here now is 50, the priority here is 40, the priority here is 40, and then the priority on this last one is 30. So that's kind of how you add in additional lanes. Obviously, it's never going to quite, like we lucked out here where this is 3 straight through lanes. It's never going to be quite that nice. Generally, you'll at least have 2 through lanes throughout the whole freeway facility, so you can code in 2, and then it might get a little messy once you get into lane 3, 4, or 5, potentially even 6-lane freeway sections. But that's kind of just the basics, surrounding that. So the other part of this tutorial, I also want to just very quickly go over the other 3 alignments. So we've got 2 ramping alignments, and then we've got this crossroad alignment. So I'm just going to start with this crossroad alignment because it's going to be really, really basic. It's just going to be a 2 12-foot lanes on each side with a, 6, maybe, 6 foot. Yeah, I'll say it's 6 foot. A 6 foot outside shoulder. So we're going to want to add that in here. Oh, I guess I should say one other thing. When you're modeling an interchange like this, you can actually group the alignments together just so they show up in a drop down box together. So you can do new interchange, and we'll call it interchange 1 just because it doesn't have a specific name. So this is our, where the freeway is. It's asking approximately what station the interchange is at. It's approximately at 233.50. So you can just enter that here. There's not a crossroad yet because we don't have any other alignments labeled, but that's enough information. So we have interchange 1. We can import our crossroad right into this interchange. So I'm just going to import. Here's our crossroad XML. If we edit the highway, we're going to have similar data of aerial area type, which will say it's urban, and then it is a, we'll just consider this a local road. It doesn't, I don't think it matters too much for the purpose of setting. We'll just say it's an arterial, actually. So as I said, we're going to have 2 lanes on both sides, priority 10. They're both 12-foot through lanes, easy enough. Shoulder section, we're going to have on both sides, on the outside, 2% cross slope with the width of 6 feet paved and a priority 20 because it's the second element that shows up. So that's it, really. Sometimes these local roads will have barrier or other data stuff you can input. We don't have any turn lanes. We don't have any lane offsets. It's an arterial. There's no ramp connections. There's no median on this road. It's undivided. There's no median barrier. You can enter in a posted speed if you want. I don't think you have to. Let's say it's 45. Which is a low speed category. Anything over 55 is high or intermediate. There's no driveways, there's no rail crossings. It is likely it's lighted, so we can add that in if you want. No fixed objects, no automated speed enforcement, likely no parking, and then we don't need anything else of this data. So if we click on view, we can now look at this highway. So here's our crossroad. It's very basic and not much information with it, but that's what it looks like. So let's just quickly do our 2 ramps. I know this video is running a little long as well. I'm hoping to finish it up here in 2 or 3 minutes. So we're gonna, oh, I guess I wanted to do it from here. We're gonna import the highway. Here's our eastbound on-ramp. If we look at our open roads, our eastbound on-ramp is 12 feet with I'd say a 2-foot inside shoulder, maybe a 3-foot outside shoulder. I'd say that seemed pretty reasonable. It's going to have outside barrier the whole way, and it's going to have inside barrier from 234 probably to 237, I would say. So let's edit this one very quickly. Area type, again, we're going to say it's urban. This is going to be a freeway service ramp. So we're going to set it as freeway service ramp. We'll go ahead and update, and then we can edit the highway again. This time you're going to have to enter average speed. I typically put 45 for on-ramps and off-ramps. So here we can enter our shoulders. So outside, I said, was probably 3 with a priority of 20. Our inside shoulder is going to be 2%. It's also going to be 2 feet, and the priority is going to be 5 because it's on the inside of the traveled lane. We'll enter that later. Right side barrier is going to be for the whole thing. The offset, like I said, is 1 foot. 2 feet past the edge of the shoulder, so it's going to be 5. Right side is outside in this scenario, and left is the inside. What did I say for my barrier distances? 234 to 237 approximately. Oh, I'm entering data for the wrong one. So actually, this is the one that we're interested in here. Okay, outside and inside shoulders look fine. Barrier, looks like there actually might not be any barrier on this one. So I'm gonna leave the 2 barriers blank. Actually, it doesn't look like either of them there's barrier on either side. So I'm gonna close out of that. I'm gonna delete off this right side barrier as well. So if we update, now we can view this alignment. Here's what this alignment looks like. Obviously none of them are connected yet, but here's what it looks like. I'm going to pause the video quick, and then I'm going to create the other one and come back in a second. Alright, I am back, and I have the last alignment, the last on-ramp done. So now we have 4 different viewers. We have our mainline viewer, we have our crossroad, we have the eastbound off-ramp, and we also have the or sorry, we have the eastbound off ramp. We also have the westbound on ramp. So now we have our 4 alignments created. None of them are connected yet, but that is the end of how you enter the basic information into IHSDM.